a quorum. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. This is the PEG Access Advisory Committee for September 9. I'm Carlin Reed. I'm the current chair, and we are being recorded. I want to make sure everybody knows about that. Before we begin with our agenda, let's do a quick roll call for the members. When I say your name, please respond here, I, present, whatever you choose to say. Carlin Reed, that's me. I'm here, of course. Vince Carlson.
Here.
And Court Booth.
Here.
Great. That's a quorum for us. So I'm expecting to have Corey Atkins join us later on. And I understand that Scott Hopkinson may be late. He may not be able to come today, but we do have a quorum, the three of us. All right. The next thing on the agenda is to take a look at the, let's see, Corey's not here yet. Let's take a look at the minutes from the June 3rd meeting, which is the last time we all got together. I sent that information out in a packet. Do I have any corrections or additions to the minutes from either Court or Vince? Court,
No.
What about you?
No.
Okay. Vince, what about you?
No, we're fine to me.
Okay. Vince, could I have a motion to approve the minutes as stated?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. And a second from Court?
Second.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We have to do a roll call vote because we're doing this by Zoom. Carlin Reed votes aye in favor. Court, what about you?
Aye.
And Vince, what about you?
Aye.
Okay, good. Motion passed. We've got the minutes approved as we've written them out. I'll be sure to go ahead and get those sent off to the town clerk's office in their new office, by the way. I took the tour, and Kate, they did a real good job of doing the tour of the new townhouse. That was nicely done. Okay, minutes are done. Now what I want to do is, let's do let's see. Court, what do you think? Corey's not here. Scott's not going to be coming till later, if at all. I'm inclined to go ahead with the elections for chair and clerk, unless either you or Vince have a concern about it. Court, what do you think?
No, that's fine. I think we ought to just vote to give you authority to be nimble and change the 9 items as you see fit. No, the first 8 items
Okay.
as you see fit today.
Okay. What I'd like to do is do the elections for chair and clerk next. Let's do that now. Now, Court, just want to let you know, Vince has volunteered to serve as the clerk. I am willing to serve as chair again, but I've already done it a couple times. And Court, if you want to be chair, or Vince, if you want to be chair, feel free to speak up now because I'm happy to yield control of the microphone. Court, what do you think?
I think we would be in your debt and Vince's debt if you would take on those 2 roles as you described, with a look toward the future, so that we try to build out the talent for the leadership in a year or 2. But if you're willing, Vince and Carlin, I think it'd be the best for the committee and for the town.
Okay, Vince, how do you feel?
I agree.
Okay, all right. Then let's do this. I suppose we should do it one office at a time. Can I have a nomination?
I move the slate as described.
That's even better. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Now, again, the slate is described as Carlin is chair and Vince is clerk. That. All right. Let's do a roll call vote. All those in favor. Carlin votes aye. Court?
Aye.
Vince?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've got that done. Okay. Chair and clerk. Oh, and here comes Corey right now. Perfect timing. Hold on. Let's get her put in here. And I can see that Corey's coming here. Just a moment. While we're waiting, gentlemen, please take a look at your meeting dates. Corey, hi, how are you? When you have a moment, please unmute. And if you can, put on your video. Hello, Corey, how are you today?
Hi. A little frazzled.
Well,
but I got here.
Gather a few moments to catch your breath, because I'm going to have you say a few words about yourself. Even though most of us, if not all of us, already know a little bit about you, a little bit about yourself, but just to let you know, we've just had the elections for chair or clerk.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's appropriate, but if you want to volunteer for one of those chairs, I'm happy to redo the elections if you want to be either the chair or the clerk.
No,
Okay,
no,
fine.
I'm fine.
Okay, well, I'm the new chair, I guess, and then Vince is the clerk for this committee. Now, with that in mind,
This is red or pink?
Vince is V. Carlson. He's neither.
No, I mean, I put in the,
I'm sorry.
is he what color shirt is he wearing?
Vince, what color shirt are you wearing?
See me here? Corey, do you see me?
Okay, yep, now I see you. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Corey, why don't you give us a few moments? You're the newest member of this group, and I'm very glad you joined us. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Corey Atkins, 74 years old, and I now live at Concord Green. And I was also the state representative representing Concord for the last 20 years from 1999 to 2019. I've always been, I used to do my own programs at the TV station, which has always fascinated me and led to my interest. I've used to work with kids. I used to work with kids at risk or kids in jail when I was in my 20s. I think they are extraordinarily the best messengers on, especially on messages that people don't want to hear. So I'm interested in the station, interested in working with kids on programming, and that's about it for now.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the PEG Access Advisory Committee. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. What next thing on the agenda is to take a look at the meeting schedule that we have for the next couple of meetings. Now, as I understand, we're going to be allowed to meet by Zoom up until April 1st of 2022. So what I'd like to do is to, on the agenda, I have scheduled some tentative dates. Please let me know if these dates will work for you. I've tried to target the second Thursday of every month, 1 o'clock to 2:30 in the afternoon. And Court, that afternoon time frame is in recognition of some of the meetings, especially you have with the school committee. So I want to make sure the timing is good.
It'll be tight for me. Thursday is my day for teaching in town in Boston. But if we finish by 2:30, it should be okay. There may be some days I leave 5 minutes early.
I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that we finish promptly. If we don't finish the agenda, then we'll carry stuff over as necessary.
Thank you.
All right. So the days that I have in mind are October 7, November 4, December 2, January 6, February 3, March 3, and April 7. And those are the same dates that are listed in the agenda itself as proposed future dates. Now, the April 7 one is beyond the April 1st cutoff for being able to meet by Zoom unless there's some change to the governor's executive order. But my proposal also is up until April 7 that we meet by Zoom. Now, that's my personal preference, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the way it is. I want to hear what the committee members feel about the dates, time, and Zoom, in person, or hybrid, because we have options for all three. I'm going to go Vince first, then Court, then Corey. Vince, what do you think?
Well, I'm fine with the Zoom meetings. I don't know if there's going to be an occasion that it may be worthwhile having something like a hybrid meeting, just to, experience the format and actually meet and greet everybody in person, since, we have Corey and other people that are, haven't been intimately involved with the committee before.
Okay, so you'd be open to do a hybrid meeting at least once, otherwise, okay. Court, what do you think?
Yeah, I would second that. I think that if we could pull off one in-person or hybrid meeting, I think it would benefit the committee. But the dates look fine, and Zoom has been a very constructive medium overall.
Okay. All right, Corey, what about you? How are those dates for your schedule?
I agree. I think Zoom, I think hybrid would be a solution to work towards, and Zoom works.
Okay.
Also.
So how about this, folks? How about for the October 7 meeting, which is the next one, that we try to schedule it as a hybrid meeting, and I'll work with Jeremy Romano as far as securing the time, date, and the location for that. Go ahead, Court.
Yeah, I'm going to ask that we not rush it. We've got health conditions changing. I think we need to see some more trends. The
Right.
trends aren't what we want right now, so I don't want to ask for trouble by assuming that October 7 we're going to feel more comfortable. We might feel less comfortable. Let's be prudent. Put it off a month or two.
I'm happy to do that. So the October meeting would be by Zoom. That'd be October 7 at 1 o'clock. Vince, are you okay with that?
That's fine with me.
Okay, Corey, are you okay with that? All right, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So we have the schedule for the dates for at least the October meeting. That'll be a Zoom one. And I'll be sure to include the Zoom link in the agenda and the draft agendas as we normally do. It's possible that the November or December or some other will be a hybrid, but I'll let the committee guide on your preferences on that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, excellent. Thank you. So please put those dates in your calendar. Okay, now this is the part where I turn the show over to Mark Polly. He's about to give an update from MMN as the interim station manager. So Mark, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Well,
Thank
great. I appreciate the fact that I'm not part of your committee, but happy to provide some updates and just kind of more information about what we're doing here. Being that I'm the interim station manager, I've just kind of been thrown in to do a lot of creative things that I've seen. I'm working towards my third year of working here. I'm the longest employee that the station has. I'm the only full-time employee at this time. So I'm just honored to continue to provide any services I can. So and just to go by what's on your number 3 here, staff, we have a new employee who started today. Again, part-time videographer, spent the morning, very excited young man, very technically astute, and very excited to be using a lot of our equipment. So that means that we've got 3 part-time videographers that can work up to 20 hours a week. They all have other jobs, and so it's just scheduling them their time to be able to come here. So there are other hires that are coming down the pike, but the process of hiring takes a while within the town. So I kind of wait until they walk in the door before I know that they're going to be here. The other item on your list was reopening, and I wasn't sure. Maybe Carlin, what do you mean by reopening? Maybe just so I'm on the
Well,
same.
here's my example. When I spoke to Corey about being on this committee, she wanted to do a program. That kind of means being able to go into the studio. That requires a studio to be open to have that type of a service. Now, I talked to the school superintendent during a committee meeting at one point, and she was of the impression that from her perspective, from the school's perspective, yeah, people can come in and use the studio, but that doesn't mean that the town is ready to do that necessarily. I don't know what the status was. So, for example, hypothetically, if Corey wanted to start putting together a program, could she or I or someone else come and use the studio?
Yeah, so I think I'd like to answer that 2 ways. The old school way of doing recordings needing a studio has totally been changed. A studio is a very controlled environment, true, cameras, recording equipment, lighting, all kinds of things, but we are now capable of doing a lot of that, let's say at a person's home, at a place of business, lots of different areas. So it's let's say if Corey wanted to do something because it's in her own environment and she's got cats and dogs and we wanted to film it there and she was comfortable with us wearing masks and that was the place she wanted to do it, by all means we could. And Kate joining us here could answer the question a little bit more about actually entering the studio. I believe there's still the restrictions of during the school day, but when it's an after hours time, I believe we can now start doing it again. Is that Is that true, Kate?
Yes, that is my understanding. We wanted to be a little bit more stringent during even the after school hours when the students are still there. And so we do have cameras installed, not because we want to spy on anybody, but we want to make sure that we're able to see people coming and going, and the doors are locked. The only way to get out into the school from the studio is an emergency door that isn't one that we use regularly. And then the door to the exterior of the building, someone will have to let you in from the studio. So we're still not really having that open door policy, just out of an abundance of caution and safety, which, you know, we've talked about as a group is sort of the challenge of being in the school. But I do think that the good of being in the school outweighs the inconvenience of having to be buzzed in, et cetera. So I guess we'd appreciate any feedback if there is about things that we could do to make it more welcoming so people don't think we're trying to keep people out.
Got it. Corey, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking of in terms of programming is this would take a lot of initial work with recruiting students, explaining sort of the outline of my ideas of where to go with this, but I certainly like their ideas. So it would involve going into the schools. Does anybody have any information about how that works?
Mark, you and Aaron met with Superintendent Hunter last week, correct? Do
Yes.
you mind just giving a brief synopsis to the board about sort of those conversations? Because I think
Sure.
they might be helpful.
Sure. So, so Corey, we're on the same wavelength right there.
Okay.
There is a process that I've started with a superintendent that will go down to the principal of the high school, which would then go down to the teachers. I've been going from the bottom up. I've got a lot of excitement from the teachers that are in the visual arts and the media arts and such as a need. So they're 100% excited about having us in with the calmness that it's got to come down the chain to say, yes, if we follow the correct protocols for safety, for COVID, for all those things, that
Right.
we will soon have the ability to communicate up and down more freely and be able to throw some ideas their way and ideas coming from them to us about either, and then even when I talk to some of the teachers there already, I wanted it not to be, well, this is what we used to do. I don't want to start there. I want to start with anything is possible.
Right.
Let's do a weekly show that gets put on their internal systems. It can go anywhere, it can go to YouTube, it can go to Twitch, it can go to, wherever the kids want to go, whatever, as long as it's within,
Right.
But so we're on the same wavelength. It would be wonderful to have your interest and support and direction. I'm just, I'm always excited to do something, but I've been told just relax a little longer, and then we'll have the pathway that's been established for us to ask the questions up and then get some answers coming down, and then actually having some kids in here again, which would be awesome.
Yeah, that's why I've been waiting till this meeting, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to bother the superintendent during the openings of school and that prep. And I know COVID is a roller coaster right now. So it's a day by day, week by week. But I'm fully vaccinated and I got a booster. So can I come into the station and meet with you?
I think you could. I mean, I've already met with Carlin, and I think any of you, I would love to have you guys in here at any time you wish. This is a different place. I mean, Carlin came here, and I can just talk for hours, and actually, I beat Carlin. I think she had to leave because I was talking more than Carlin, and she's always excited to talk about these things too. So it was, anyways. But yes. I think it's within reason, but again, Kate, during the school time, because I think Carlin came in when before school started, but But when she,
Okay,
You'll never
folks, at
get
this
me
point,
before school starts.
okay, all right. The two of you, Mark and
We'll work it
Corey,
out.
talk offline,
Okay.
set something up. Corey, start coming up with your ideas, and we'll get it cleared through Kate, and we'll try to make this happen. Good?
great, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, and then the last item was bulletin board, and I didn't know what you meant by that.
Oh, by that, and you skipped over something that was parking. But we'll get back. The bulletin board was, my understanding is that channel 99 is being used as sort of like a bulletin board of sorts of programming, what's being shown on the other, all three channels. Well, at least when I turned on to channel 99, I saw the schedule, and the schedule of, for example, what was being shown that particular day. The print was very small. It was hard for me to read from what it was. So that's, we had talked at one point about having some way of knowing what's being shown on the TV schedule for that day, that week, that month, that sort of thing. And I didn't know if you had any thoughts about that. That's what the notation is for.
Okay, there is no bulletin board channel. We have three channels. The challenge with those three so you said a couple things. So the challenge with those three channels is that we're outputting right now in standard definition. So we're destroying an HD signal, and it's going out to Comcast. So part of the renegotiating the contracts for Carlisle is to really force Comcast to allow us to have HD channels, which is going on all over the country. So it's a possibility. But if they get three channels, those are our channels together. So the negotiation could either be that, well, I don't know how that's going to work, but because we have the same three channels. So if they get high definition, then Concord would get high definition, even if it's before the end of the contract. So that's another discussion to be had a little later on. But the reason why you can't read it is because it is being crushed down into standard definition. But if you go online, you'll see the high definition, which is what we send to the Minuteman Media channel that's found on top of Concord's website. So we do generate it, and unfortunately, it gets destroyed to send it to the cable system. And there's only three. There's not the fourth one. So
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
Is
Corey, go ahead.
Yeah, is the schedule published in the journal?
No,
No.
no.
It could be, couldn't it?
I suppose, but yeah, I don't think.
I mean, if
It's-
students wanted to get, I mean, we could, I'm not adding to your plate.
They're desperate
I
for
don't need
content.
that. Pardon me?
I think they're desperate for content.
Yes, they are.
Who's they, Court? Just
Well, Bob Fucci or anybody over at Wicked Local Concord, I think they'd be happy to run it. And even if it doesn't draw viewers, it simply helps bring MMN into the public consciousness. So it always has that value.
yeah, that's a great idea. So I know you've got other things to do. So I'm changing the environment inside the studio to a visually engaging and inspiring studio with pictures and photos of Concord, screenshots of projects, a wall of fame for anyone who works here to get their faces out there. I actually brought in my projector and set up a screen in the studio to be used for watching videos, actually seeing them in a large format, 100-inch screen with sound and everything else, so that we can do movie previews and seeing the content that is being created in a much more dynamic place. And in fact, having with the possibility of the future of having like, contests for 1-minute videos, 5-minute videos, whatever they could be, students or community members, and we can play it online, but we can also physically have a space, which is what I've got here. But we can also do it in any place in town.
Yes, you do have a lot of ideas, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. Just keep me excited here. So we get the rest of our equipment from the order last year, which allows us to stream from anywhere on the planet. back to us here with live events or pre-recorded events using that set of equipment, so we could do a much more dynamic event, let's say at a downtown parade or something. We plug into the internet. We can have live commentary. We can mix it with pre-recorded events, and now our sponsor, I don't know, whatever, but much more engaging, situations. You've also heard that we're working with a school to get students back in here, which would be unbelievable. It'd be exciting. We're also with hybrid meetings. We're kind of working with the town's IT team to help configure some of the rooms that are throughout Concord to be able to do hybrid. And ultimately what hybrid means is it's a blurring of the lines between what is called MMN's world and what is called IT. And with great cooperation, we've been able to kind of to establish some, and you can't even say standards because every room has got its challenges, but we've been over at Kai's Road, and we've set up a system there that we can bring a lot of equipment in and do multi-cameras with little Blackmagic switchers and stuff. Also, there's these hybrid television with a camera on top with a speaker and a microphone that's on a table that allows a better room, a better view of the room instead of just a laptop looking up your nose. But the hearing room at the townhouse has been really fully ready. Kate bought this beautiful TV in the back. We have a PC that's mounted there. We connect to it. We connect to a Zoom meeting. All the cameras in the room can be where my cameras right now could be any camera. You've seen the select board room meetings that we've done. We can now do that in that room with the audio being heard by everyone in the speakers above that's on the Zoom meeting, the microphones on the table being able to be sent back into the Zoom meeting, and the recording within the Zoom meeting. So a hybrid really makes it very interesting that all the cameras and all the microphones in that room become part of the Zoom meeting and the recordings. The select board is a totally different.
Let me stop you right there, Mark. My concern is at this point, and I appreciate you doing that, is for the school committee meetings. Twice when I was on, we had some complaints about there being too many echoes. And I think Court knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because we've got sound from multiple sources, so it's quite a challenge. And
so was that recently, Court?
Yes. And what was the complaint? The complaint was from Zoom participants, public participants, who really weren't picking up the school committee conversation effectively. I think that was the essence of the problem.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what we did was we made sure that the sound system in the room was working to amplify. But then you've got probably a microsecond of delay, so the audio becomes fuzzier. I don't know. It's above my pay grade, but
No, that's right. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, Mark. Whoever's running that particular video, just be aware that the audio still needs some work on that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that whole room, unfortunately, is a debacle. It was done by an IT guy, and I'm an IT guy, so I can't really trash him too bad. But it was done by an IT guy doing his best. And the cameras in that room that are there don't work. They don't connect. The board that's in the back for the switcher doesn't connect to it's the wrong board, and the audio isn't connected to it all. So we bring everything in when we go there. We set up 3 cameras, we set up all that stuff, and then we attempt to try to get the microphones as close to one another without using the table. But with what Court just said, having those mics turned on will bring it up to the ceiling, and then we can pull it back down. The systems that we use can have a digital delay added to the audio for that exact purpose. We have new employees that are just learning all this stuff, so we have to continue the training, and we will continue to get that room better. But it's a little bit of a challenge. So anyways, I don't want to uh,
Now, this
go
is the
ahead.
part, Mark, this is the part where the committee members get to ask you questions about stuff.
Oh,
Start
well, one
with
more thing. So Carlisle is part of this whole group, and we were able to do Carlisle's town select board meetings. I reconfigured the whole room, moved the table, did all kinds of stuff. Right now we use our own computer, but they should have it. We added stuff to it, so their hybrid Zoom meetings are really smooth, and we use the system in it because it works to connect to a Zoom. We just have to bring our laptop for the moment. They don't have an IT person, but it's been pretty good. But the last statement I just want to make is that this means that Minuteman Media people are different than they were a year ago. They now have to understand Zoom, they have to understand PCs, they have to understand how all of that mixes and works together. And it's kind of a different environment. And it doesn't mean that the people that we're hiring don't know it. They're very excited to, to use the equipment. They're just not videographers anymore. They're really a higher level of person. And that's what Erin has been hiring. We've got some really excited, technically great kids. So, all right, I'm done.
Okay, thanks. All right, Corey, you're first, then Court, then Vince. Corey, go ahead.
I want to ask Mark, do we have the capability to do closed captions for people who are having a hard time hearing?
A while ago, I looked at closed captioning as an option both from the vendor that we use and other third parties. And I'm not going to talk about the numbers because I forgot what they are. I have to go get that document. But it turns out live captioning is a totally different product. And then pre-recorded captioning is, I forget, Kate, I don't remember what it was, but it was like $30,000 a year that would be added onto our budget because of the word count. And I went from a human being doing it all the way down to Watson doing it at pennies in a minute or whatever it was. And it just is an added expense that we'd have to take on and then decide where we do it and where we don't do it. And it's not that it's not possible. It's possible. It's just an added expense onto our yearly budgets.
Got it. Okay, Court, what about you, then Vince?
Nothing to add other than Mark, thanks for giving us the stability we need over there.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Vince, what about you?
I've already talked to him for hours. He doesn't have to say anything.
I know, but we haven't heard it.
Hold on just a second here. I'm turning off my phone. Court, is the school committee room used for other purposes or?
Yeah, it's a fairly busy meeting room. It's our biggest conference room in the district, so it's used quite a bit.
Okay. Mark, on the new hires, on the 3 permanent new hires, what is the kind of the status of the the list of candidates? Are you seeing a lot of candidates for that, or how's the labor market basically?
Well, the ones that are showing up here at the, I'm only seeing them at the end, really, after Erin has been, processing them through the town's, process. But she's using, and what we've received are pretty energetic, bright, just technically knowledgeable, very skilled. I think there's still 2 more that are coming in, and one has got a lot of teaching experience. They're just great people. I have to engage them. They've got to be technically challenged, and it's great to have them. And I want to make sure that they're here. So I'm sorry, Vince, I'm expounding on your question, but they're awesome people so far.
The main reason I'm curious is, I know that the whole industry has been in turmoil, basically just because of the lockdown and the moves that a number of people are making. And I was just wondering if you're seeing that in the hires, that people are trying to move to a different location, or that they have a different perspective on things relative to maybe not an immediate COVID threat, but just in terms of the kinds of careers they want to pursue, or, any of the other issues that might affect the hiring.
Yeah, well, I think, there's some that are early in their career and some that are later in their career, and they're all experiencing the same thing, that it's a technology overload with, cell phones that can do as great as a $20,000 camera just a few years ago, and the being able to get this out into the world is totally different than it was years ago. You had to have a studio. My answer to Corey early on is we can do it in your living room. We can live stream from your living room because that's the comfort level that the person wants. So most of, and both early career and mid career, people are experiencing that same thing. And technology is not what it used to be. They're really excited to use it. And the town has bought some technology. I hope they continue to buy technology that we can foster that growth. So they're pretty smart people. They really are. And if we don't challenge them, as we've seen, they leave.
Right.
They leave. And yay, good for them. I mean, I want the best for them, but bad for us.
Okay. All right. I'm about to
One
open this up. Go ahead,
question,
Vince. Go ahead,
Carla.
Vince.
And this is to follow up on Corey's question about the captioning. And Corey, do you see the captioning both live and recorded, or would most of the things, if it's being rebroadcast, would it be more important to see it when it's streamed and rebroadcasted versus live?
You're asking me?
Yes.
I was thinking of that in terms of the meeting where they were getting a lot of complaints about not being able to hear. And I think that's the standard I would use first. That a town, official meeting, like the school committee, where constituents want to hear what's going on, would be a priority. I know I have to use it on my own TV. For some reason, British TV they whisper to each other in dialogue, and so I find it helpful. But meetings I think are very important and a function of the station, and I think I would start there. I don't know what the technical, Mark would be the expert here.
And I just think this group has got
then through channels 8 and 9 and 9. Seeing it on the TV with the captioning.
I'm sorry?
I gather that would be captioning then on channels 8, 9, and 99. That is through TV broadcasting versus through the channels that the MMN maintains on the website, through the town website.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
and anytime you see live, and I know we can talk about this for hours and we're wasting your time, but just to say live broadcasts that have a person, typing along the, what's live, you'll see brought to you by, because it costs probably $10,000 an hour to do, and someone pays for that, and then a person listens with headphones, and then in the studio we'd have a $10,000 device that injects a stream of characters coming in from anyone around the world who's listening. We just don't have the equipment yet. We don't have it here to do live captioning. And for town meeting, they actually hire a person that does just that. And they're injecting it into the local screens, but not necessarily in our remote screens. But it is possible. I mean, anything, it's possible. Just need cash.
That's all.
Just need cash. Okay, fine. Let's take a couple questions from the audience, members of the public. If you have any questions for Mark about the station, now's the time to ask. Do you have anybody here? Carol, do you have anything else? David has something, but Carol, if you have something, why don't you go first?
Nope, I'm all set.
All right, David, go ahead.
Mark, I am just delighted to hear what you bring to this. Somebody think it's that 100-inch. Not too many of us even have a 100-inch to bring, but no, it's not just the IT expertise also obvious. It's the spirit and it's the making it happen. I'm really excited to see it. Thanks so much. Gracious.
Thank you, David. I've heard your name quite a few times, and you've got a lot of history too. So I appreciate the comment.
I hope some of those were positive, a few anyway.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, Frank, did you have a comment? Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up once again, the idea of getting the TV station out of the high school. Because, it's because there's COVID now, which makes it always a big deal to get there and do anything. So, it just discourages you from doing it. Whereas if it were outside in a building by itself or a rented space, and I guess there's a lot of rented space in town these days, that there with the businesses doing so badly, that you could just walk in and talk to the people about doing a video instead of trying to park at the high school, which will always be a problem. And then, getting in with security and all that. So I think somebody should be thinking about moving it out where the public can get to it. That's my comment again.
Mark, that does pull me to one thing that we didn't talk about was parking.
Yeah.
Am I correct that there are supposed to be 3 reserved parking spaces for the station, or what's the status there?
So I heard yesterday that there are 3. I have the numbers. We have the signs. 2 of them have been kind of asked that, okay, you can have those 2, which I'm looking at them right now, which is here. 1 for the time being would be in the front or the back, whatever. Anyways, it's up at the, soccer field. So, and I think it's a negotiation because the school janitors also parked there. So I think there's a little bit of so I think there's going to be 2 that are close, and then 1 further away, and maybe another year there'll be another one closer. So, but that's what I've heard at the moment. Kate, slap me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what
I wouldn't dream of slapping you. I think that the school has been working well with us and admittedly had a bit of an oversight and initially gave away our 3 spots to 3 students. And you can imagine taking them back was going to be more challenging than trying to work out a solution. So for this year, we are working out the solution and seeing how it goes. But we've been assured that that next year, the stakes will be in the ground, so to speak, and actually, and quite literally with the signage, and that wouldn't happen again. But mistakes happen. If that's the worst thing, we're perfectly fine with it.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. All right, folks, I'm about ready to move on to the next agenda item. Thank you, Mark, for the report.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak, though, Carlin. I appreciate it.
You'll be on the agenda every time, so just get used to it. Because what's happening at Edmond is kind of what we're here for. Okay, what I'd like to do now is go down to the agenda item number 7, the Comcast franchise renewal. Under this, I have the draft timeline, the Carlisle update, the 626 letter. I don't intend to take a lot of time because we're going to spend more time on this at the next meeting, the October meeting. But since Kate is here especially, I want to just give you a brief overview of my summer project, which was getting ready for the Comcast franchise renewal process. So to do this, what I want to do is I'm going to put briefly on the screen the draft timeline that I created. This is my work based on my previous knowledge and the research that I've been able to do so far. To give you folks just an idea of what this process is like, I think of this group here. Vince, you've gone through this process once before. It's every 10 years. Court, you may have as well.
I have, yeah.
Okay, so and the idea is with this, if you have some ideas, we're going to talk about it again some more on October, but I just wanted to put it up here, and I'll show it in here in just a second here. Let me get this set ready to go. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay, that looks like fun. All right. Okay, and then let me see if I can do this right. Okay, I think this will work. We'll see. Okay, this is the draft timeline. Can you see that all right, folks?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so very briefly, it's a 36-month period. We're already in within that phrase, we've received the 626 letter, which is one of the documents in your packet. It's a letter from Comcast that says, hi, we want to renew our agreement. And this is part of the formal process to do that. October 21, that's my mark for the 30-month to expiration date. That's the next key point here. We're going to be talking about the renewal process. I've already started talking to some other towns' cable advisory committees. Now, Kate, you had mentioned that I should talk to Westford, perhaps. That's one I have not yet spoken to, but I'm just talking to the cable advisory committees and running around our area saying, okay, what are you doing? What's going on? And one thing that I'm thinking we should do sometime in October or sometime soon is schedule a compliance review meeting with Comcast. Under the terms of our franchise agreement, we're allowed one per year. Okay. Again, I just want to talk to that one a little more in depth, but the rest of them, going through the rest of this timeline, April 21 is 24 months to expiration. This is about the time by which we should be thinking about getting some type of a consultant. I've got listed here names of people who I know are in the business. I'm sure there are more. October of next year, 18 months, we should start thinking about sending out a town-wide survey, and it's to also survey the town departments of the schools, the stakeholders. What do you need? What do you think about cable TV service? What do we need over the next 10 years? Think about also doing another compliance review since we get one per year. And then April 21 of 2023, that's 12 to 6 months expiration. Think about having a final public hearing on the ascertainment and the needs assessment. Don't close it until we're done with the ascertainment portion, because after that, we're basically telling Comcast, this is what we need, and this is when we need it. And that's when the negotiations really can start. And then December 21 is 4 months to expiration. By that time, Concord should have received the formal proposal for Comcast. That's when negotiations are going to be finalized. Our current franchise agreement expires April 21 of 2024. So what I'm trying to do is we've got a good amount of time to start to get all that accomplished. So that's the rough timeline that I have at this point. Okay. All right. Any questions on that right now? Again, we're going to go through it in a little more detail next time, but any preliminary observations?
I've got a few.
Court first, then Corey. Go ahead, Court.
So forgive me if this has been covered and I missed it. Are we looking at a 10-year?
Yes, that's what you just said.
I
yeah.
think
Yep.
so. That's
Okay,
my understanding
so-
is that's what we've been seeing, and that's probably what we want to do.
And Kate, that requires town meeting, and it looks like that fits in the calendar. Would you agree?
How
Yep,
does it
okay.
how does it require a town meeting?
Because anything over a 3-year contract, I think the town manager flips it to the town meeting.
Okay.
So we had a vote a number of years ago that the town manager can enter into contracts for longer than 10, but it's only for real estate transactions. So like we lease this really small piece of property in Concord Center to a store owner who uses it for a propane tank. So it was kind of like, we didn't want to keep bringing those things back. But Court is right for contracts, for service, etc. That has to go to town meeting.
Okay. So what, Court, tell me what the process would be.
It's,
How do
well, your timeline works. We'd get it on the warrant in 2024. Hopefully have everything buttoned up by the first weeks of 2024, and then it goes to the town meeting. And in this case, I don't know if it would take effect July 1 or immediately, Kate.
We could write it that it could take place immediately.
And given the dates we saw, I think it would have to.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I can say it doesn't seem like it's a heavy lift unless there's people that are staunchly against it. So I
Right.
think it would be part of the public hearing
Yeah.
process, Carlin, much like with the budget. And so instead of just having the budget article for PEG, you would have these two articles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. I know that there are a number of cases, such as Carlisle, which is extending its negotiating period because they're still negotiating the deal. So even though their contract expires October of this year, odds are they're going to be running under a continuation of that until they finish their contract. So we don't have to have the contract start, the new one start right on April 21st, 2024.
Okay.
But it would be cleaner if we could. And you're right. Thank you, Court. the town meeting would fit within that, assuming town meeting is before the 20th of April, for example.
Okay, and we'll see soon. We'll see soon enough. That's tight.
It is, but
Yeah.
we can be flexible with that.
Yeah.
Just a
Okay.
minute, Corey. Corey, did you have anything else
Just
left?
finally, one thing, and this might be just something for us to come back to, but just thinking big picture before we get down to specifics, interests, and positions. Over the years, Comcast has come at cities and towns with percentages, cash, and services. Those, if I'm correct, seem to be the negotiable items. My guess is in recent years, they'd love to think about percentages and not think about cash and services the way they did when they first exited the studio business. But I think we ought to pause long enough to ask, what do we need by way of capacity, capabilities, and services from Comcast? Because the more we ask for, the more they're going to fight back on percentages.
I think you're right. Okay, Corey.
Sorry to ask so many questions. I'm just
No,
a new
go ahead.
kid on the block here. I'm just concerned about writing a 10-year contract. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in this new world that we're living in. And not only with COVID, but technology has just, I think Mark can agree, just jumped by leaps and bounds as a reaction to the new kind of world we're living in. So I wouldn't even begin to know how to approach what you want, what would be the ask for 10 years.
Okay, well, that's a fair question. In our last meeting in June, Vince, I'll get you just in the last meeting in June, we met with folks from the Department of Telecom and Cable, some of their analysts, and they expressed they gave us the observation that Comcast seems to prefer and has been negotiating 10-year agreements. Verizon has been doing 5-year agreements. We don't have Verizon offering cable TV servicing on Concord, but Comcast has been looking at the 10-year because they have so many franchise agreements that they have to negotiate every year, and there are few representatives, so it's a personnel matter as far as being able to get it renegotiated every single cycle. Whether there is it may be convenient, it is something that it will be a point of discussion. Vince, did you have an observation? Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, relative to Weston, I haven't talked to anybody there, but I have looked at their agreements that they've signed with both Comcast and Verizon, which were both done within the past couple of years. And the Comcast agreement is for 10 years. The agreement with Verizon is for 5 years. And Weston was able to actually negotiate a goodly amount of extra material. They're building a new TV studio for their equivalent to MMN, and Comcast is providing quite a bit of funding to do that. There's one area that hasn't been mentioned, Court, in terms of possible negotiation items, and that's the cost of basic cable TV service to the customer. Now, currently, Concord has a very good rate. It's $12 a month, I believe. And that's the best that I've seen, actually, of any, of the surrounding towns here that have a regulated environment with Comcast. That is where Comcast is basically the only provider in town. In the case of someplace like Westford and Lincoln, Westford and Lexington, it typically doesn't come up because you can't negotiate very hard on that basic level of service. So what Comcast then does is bump that up, typically at least doubles it. In the towns that I've seen where they are unregulated, it's over $20 a month.
Wow.
Maybe $25 a month. And that's a significant impact for low income subscribers or people that
Consumers.
just want a basic number of channels. Not everybody wants 150 channels.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we'll be able to negotiate rates. That typically is not something that's allowed under the negotiation acts. Kate, did you have a question or observation?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to let the committee know that most of our contract language includes an out for the town. We only have to give 30 days notice if we are somehow dissatisfied. So if Comcast, for whatever reason, we enter into a 10-year agreement and at year 3, the cable service is really spotty. We're finding that there's a lot of complaints. PAC is hearing a lot of complaints from people. We bring that to Comcast. They have an opportunity to cure, to fix the problem. And if we're still not satisfied, we can sever the contract. And there's some other contract language that we put in. So I'm not sure that they would accept it. We had something that I am told the town manager attempted to put in there 10 years ago, and it went back and forth. And so it was really if we were dissatisfied with the service, but it certainly would be worth revisiting if in fact a 10-year makes folks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. We'll have about 2 years to be talking about this, so I'll add that to the list. No, I'm serious. I have folders of notes for a franchise renewal. That's good. Corey, did you have an observation?
Well, no, I'm glad either, that there's a mechanism to opt out, or in Kate, is there, I'm assuming if there's an opt out mechanism that we could amend.
Well, right now we have a franchise agreement that's in place. It's posted on our town's webpage, on the committee's webpage, and that has the terms for those provisions. So take a look at that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, we are getting back on track here. Draft timeline, the Carlisle update. I circulated around to you a copy of a Carlisle mosquito article that was sent out on August 11th of this year. And Court, thank you very much for bringing it to my attention. This is just a news report by the Carlisle Mosquito about the status of their negotiations, which is what they're involved in. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw that, and if you have a chance, take a look at it. And then the other thing is the 626 letter that I sent that in the packet. That is just, I wanted you to see what they look like. It basically says that we're ready to start. Here's your contact person, and they will meet with you to discuss at some point. Thank you very much. So they've started that formalized process. That's just about, let's see if there's something else here. Oh, and I noticed that on September 14th in Carlisle, the select board has on their docket a proposed public hearing on their agreement. So if you have a chance to watch that, I'd suggest you consider doing it. And Nathan is the select board member in Carlisle who is going to be doing the negotiations for Comcast. So he may be able to give us some updates, or we can see what he's up to, see how that works out. Okay, I want to give you that a little bit. Let's see, I'm going through my checklist of stuff here. Time check, it's 2:03. We have about another half hour. And I think we've finished the segment dealing with the Comcast franchise renewal for today, but I'll put that all again for the October meeting to explore that a little bit more fully. Okay. Okay, let's get back to the agenda. And I just want to give you a brief note. The paying access program, fiber broadband update. Scott Hopkinson is not here. This is about the fiber committee. And as you know, we appointed Scott as our representative. He has sent me an update, and I think that the committee has been impaneled by the, here it is. The fiber broadband committee has been appointed. At least 5 members of them have been appointed by the select board. So they're now able to meet, and they've scheduled a meeting for September 15. So they're already I don't know what time that is, but that's what Scott tells me is the meeting date is September 15. I presume it'll be recorded, broadcast, whatever, I don't know. But if you have a chance, if you want to find out, watch them, go ahead and do that. I'll have Scott give us a report next meeting in October as kind of a regular update of what's going on, because last town meeting, our committee supported Article 41 that created this committee. Okay, that I believe is the fiber broadband update. Next thing is the PEG Access Program Awards. Just want to make you know that, yes, I did give the plaque to Mark. Mark, have you hung it up? Is it somewhere? Oh, it is. Hey, I can actually see it out the door, I think.
No, it's around the
No?
other corner. Sorry.
On the other corner. Okay. All right. Well,
it's
all right. It's up
that
on the wall at
Sorry.
least.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
But when you come in, it's right there. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that. The presentation actually went very well at the select board, I think. Now, for next year, this committee should be thinking about, do you want to do the same sort of thing? Do you want to give a recognition plaque for groups that participated, that have provided videos? Do you want to do something else? We could do a presentation at the select board like we did last year. I'm not asking for a vote or a decision right now, but just think about it. We could have some type of a presentation during one of our own committee meetings or something special. That there are options of saying thank you to the people who provide content to this station and who do the work that we're trying to help them do. So, thoughts? Court, do you have any thoughts about that at this moment?
No.
Okay.
Nothing to
Corey,
add.
what about you? Any thoughts?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, Vince, what about you?
Well,
Any
I think
ideas?
it's a great idea to continue. I think it's very nice to give recognition to all of the good work that's been done. And there certainly has been a lot of it. And it's, I think, useful to the staff as well, that the work is appreciated, and it's always something good to potentially put on a resume, even though hopefully they won't be circulating one.
Well, especially if you have student videos that participate. We had one, Mark, we had one just recently done. It was the, that minute-long COVID public service announcement that I thought was very well done by a student.
Yep. All I had to do is just put a beginning on it because you had no idea who it was or what it was for. So I added the intro to it. But other than that, it was very well done. And it was
that's
on a cell phone.
And that's up now on the YouTube website.
Yep.
Okay, that's it for that particular item. Let's see, getting through. Next thing I have is the PEG Access goals, and I'm going to do a screen share of this for the goals. Again, this is my draft update from last year of stuff we're going to try and do this year. So I'm just going to touch on it very briefly. I'm not going to ask for any votes or anything on this, but just to give you an idea of what we could be doing this year. Okay, so hold on, let me get this thing ready to go. All right, that looks good. Let me see if I can do this right. Get that one out. We don't need that one. I do want this one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that looks good. All right, share the screen. Which one is it? Ha! There we go. Okay, remembering how to do this sort of thing. Okay, so these are drafts. What I'm hoping the committee will do is take a look at it, and at the next meeting, at our October meeting, come back with edits or other ideas of what we can do. These are based on our charge. Each heading is part of the purpose of the charge, and then underneath it are a couple of blocks. And we've used the same format for the last couple of years. We've been modifying it a little bit underneath. So better understanding the purpose, monitoring the PEG operating budgets, promoting awareness of PEG, monitoring Comcast compliance, and promoting quality telecommunications services. This last column is what I'm viewing as what we're doing, what Scott's doing. And I think Vince has also had some role in dealing with the fiber broadband piece. Understanding the purpose, hold regular meetings. Yeah, I've updated the webpage, have to do that. Reviewing the Comcast budget briefly, helping subscribers resolve their concerns and complaints. Reviewing the cable rate card data and subscribership. And then we've appointed a representative to the fiber broadband completion task force. That's Scott Hopkinson. Reviewing cable online statistics, reviewing the budgets, helping MMN get to full staff. And Mark and Kate, I think this is something that's really important. I don't know what we as committee members can do to help you with this, but if there's something, please let us know besides saying, hi, you're the new person. Who are you? So education coordinator position, finalizing the station manager position, whatever you need to do for us. We're not doing training programs, and that is something that I think we need to do. I think Corey wants to do something with students. We need to also be able to train adults who want to learn how to use cameras and how to edit film more than anything else, I think, at this point. Okay. So going on to this, this is the cable franchise renewal section, all the various pieces of it. And we'll try and get regular updates from the fiber broadband representative every time. And then the last piece, present and prepare the program access awards, discuss alternate revenue sources. We have to prepare a report for town meeting, and Corey, you haven't been part of this, but we will do that. I'll draft something up and present it to the committee in probably the November meeting, and then we'll actually vote on it at the December meeting as far as what our report is to town meeting of what we've done this past year. Because we do have a couple pages in the annual report each year. Vince has done a real good job monitoring FCC dockets, and I've done some DTC work as well. And if there's anything else to do with the fiber committee, that's the other piece. Okay, that is briefly what I have proposed for the goals. Can I get some initial feedback now? We're not going to take a vote on this right now because I want you to think about it some more, but any reactions? And I'm going to go Court first, then Vince, then Corey. Okay, Court,
Well,
what do you think?
I think that they are few enough in number so that it really obligates us to pay attention to them. You know, if they were more numerous or more complex, I think it'd be beyond the scope of a small group of volunteers. I think you've drafted up something that should land on our shoulders that we can be accountable for.
Okay. All right, Vince, what do you think?
There is one document, I think it's something that Carlin, you and I have looked at that you might want to post for everybody's benefit. And Lexington has recently kind of redone their responsibilities in charge of their equivalent to this group. And they've done it partly in response to some recommendations from Lexington's Long Range Planning Committee, which actually apparently, I think they just redid it this year. Either that or they're preparing to do it because they're talking about the Lexington 2020 long range plan at this point, but you know, with a view toward the future. And the one main thing that they have, or one of the main things that they have done is to try to cover the notion of communications more broadly. So that committee has even been renamed to the Lexington Communications Advisory Committee. And one of the things that specifically noted in the preamble of that is that the town newspapers, and in the case of Lexington, it's the Lexington Minuteman, have reduced their good coverage of the town.
Right. They all have.
That's very much the case here as well. So they're not, you know, looking at starting to print a newspaper, but they're trying to figure out how to cover that gap through, you know, a combination of better outreach through basically all means available, you know, through a more comprehensive website, maybe through items like not necessarily bulletin boards, but the audio visual boards, such as the type that they have in the library, you know, so that you get the message out to more people. So I think that's one thing that, you know, the committee members here might look at as some possible options. And Court, in regard to what you're saying, they basically cover the same ground that Carlin has covered, you know, so I don't think it's so much new items as the emphasis, you know, that's given to, you know, to the various things that, you know, in the mix.
Now, just very quickly, Vince, you mentioned other local media. And I think we're all keeping an eye now on this thing called the Concord Patriot, which is now publicly known. There may be a new nonprofit web-based media outlet very, very soon.
Mhm.
I
And I
believe
think,
there is going to be an adult ed on that at the end of
Correct.
this month.
Well, not on it specifically, but we see David Ropeek as one of the presenters, yes. So we'll hear more about it then, I'm sure. But that's a fee-based thing. So I was a little curious why he launched his next level of outreach that way, a fee-based activity, but so be it.
well, I'm trying to figure out how this relates to cable TV service, which is what we're supposed to be dealing with too.
Um,
Well, it's basically, I guess, communication with the community.
right.
Okay. All right.
It's ethical.
Okay. All right. Well, a good topic to discuss. We'll talk some more about it next month at that meeting as well. Okay. And Corey, what do you think?
I think what Vince has observed is critical, and they've been talking about it on the national news relentlessly because of the pullback on the local and state level. They don't have any of the reporters that they used to have. They don't have communications with the voting public on how things are going. The government structures and laws are being changed without people's input and knowledge. And so and I was thinking that this is one of the things to train the next generation of leadership, how they look at this issue in this new age where print media is no longer the Bible, and electronic media is. Just how do we handle those? Because without this information, you cannot have a democracy. It starts with what people see outside of their own kitchen window and what they talk about at their kitchen tables. So if people aren't getting that information, it's very important.
Okay. There are many ways to deliver the information.
Right.
What we as a committee try to focus on is how can we use the cable public access programming and to do that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. I think that's about all the discussion that I'd like to entertain right now on the goals, unless there's something important, because I'd like to move on to the last piece, which is the liaison and the public comments, and then get us wound out of here by 2:30. So let's do it with liaisons. Court, you're the school representative. Do you have any observations, anything that you want to report, any comments or notes?
No, nothing new, other than we know that the building project for the new middle school is moving along rather quickly. And so I think that that group should increasingly be coming this way to help get two-way communication out between the project and the community and the project. The communications subcommittee continues to be chaired by Heather Bout, a school committee member who now is working independently as a citizen rep, but still stays in that role of communications. So I think I'll be having a chat with her and have her, perhaps Mark, be in touch with you just to see that we get coordination before they're in a big rush and have a fire drill, which we'll try to avoid.
Okay. Do you think the question about that? Do you think the new middle school will need a drop for cable TV service?
Yes, I do. And in fact, when we started doing cable work internally produced inside the town of Concord, what we learned from many other communities is somewhat true to this day, and that is that for reasons I'm no expert on, high school students seem to be very fond of radio, and middle school students seem to be more fond of video production. So if there's anything to that, we ought to be mindful of it, because To do the infrastructure work now is virtually cost-free. To do it later is a headache.
Got it. Well, let's keep that in mind for the franchise renewal process as well. Okay, Carol, you are our representative from the Council on Aging. Do you have any observations, questions, or notes? Go ahead, Carol.
Well, no, nothing revolving the PEG access, but the COA has been slowly opening up since the spring. Of course, we've changed our masking policies. Before it was unvaccinated people had to be masked, vaccinated people didn't. Now everybody has to be masked. But I guess one of the big things, the Harvey Treasure Chest, our shopping store, has opened just this week. And so things are happening there. But yeah, we had a little scare a while ago. Somebody came in to an exercise class and found out she had tested positive for the virus. She was planning a trip and unfortunately had no symptoms, so never thought there was any problem. So that no one else got it, so we were fine.
Sounds like the time that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I don't see, unless that is something else from the committee members, I'm going to open this up to public comment. Any public comments? David, go ahead.
First of all, a second to what Corey was saying just a moment ago about local journalism. Very fundamentally important. We're in deep trouble over it. We need some good solutions. Thoughts came to mind around the detail in the renewal with Comcast. To say the obvious, whether Comcast likes a 10-year agreement, don't cut no ice when we're on the other side of the negotiating table. At the same time, try to cut down the length. More than likely, they would try to make us pay a price for it, but we have to see about that. The conversation zeroed in on the cancellation clause and the possibility there. That would require very careful inspection. Those terms in any cancellation clause would be fought over in the end. I'd be darn certain that all bases were covered. And for sure, it's the case that things are going to change dramatically in this space over the next years. They already are changing. Enough.
Thank you, David. Okay, anything else? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All right, good. Now let's do the roll call vote. Carlin Reed votes yes. Vince, what do you say?
Yes.
Court, what about you?
Yes, yes.
And Corey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Corey, thanks for
Congratulations.
joining us.
You just voted.
my
That's
pleasure.
great.
Yes.
My pleasure. I haven't voted for a while. This is fun.
You'll be doing a lot of this. Okay, folks, again, our next meeting is October 7. It starts at 1 p.m. It'll be by Zoom. I'll send you the information and the links. And Vince, this is where you get to help practice with the with doing the minutes. Now, it'll be a lot easier as soon as this is posted. Mark, do you know roughly when this video is going to be posted?
I have been able to do this within a couple days, not the 24 hours that we try to do with direct government, meetings, but so probably by Monday afternoon.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
I appreciate
as long
that.
as you send it to me, yeah.
We're second tier, so
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
But it will help Vince do the good minutes. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good day. And Kate, thanks again for joining us today. See you later,
Thank you
folks.
for having me.
Good
Yep,
meeting.
take
Bye-bye.
care.